Fantastic. Have a good meeting.
God, very efficient, Seth, very efficient. All right, the Scituate School Committee is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcomed and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. Okay, I'll call the December 4th, 2023 Scituate School Committee meeting to order at 6:01. And we will start with public comment. Seeing no one here. Take a quick little look-see online. No hands raised. All right. Let's move forward with our student report. Ms. Kinsley and Mr. Murphy. Hello.
Hi. All right, I hope, oh, is this working?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, it's not even on. Whoops. I hope everyone's having a good Monday evening, and let's get going. So on Tuesday, November 21st, SHS hosted the staff versus students basketball game. In a tight match, the students came back from behind to win in an overtime victory. Winter track started on Monday, November 27th. Boys and girls basketball, boys and girls winter track, boys and girls hockey, boys and girls swimming, gymnastics, skiing, and wrestling all started their seasons. In fact, I actually had to come here from a wrestling practice, which is why I looked like I fought a war to get here, so sorry about that. On Friday night, our football team played Duxbury in the Super Bowl at Gillette Stadium. Although they eventually fell to Duxbury, please tip your hats off to our football team for a great year. The SHS band played throughout the game, and our national qualifying cheerleaders performed after the third quarter. It was a great night for everyone involved, and Coach Devine, his staff, and all the players made us proud. We have some important congratulations to give to AP Physics teacher Jeffrey Gross, who Mass Insight Education and Research has named the 2024 Partners in Excellent Teaching Award recipient for his exemplary work in the Advanced Placement STEM and English program. He is among 15 Massachusetts AP teachers being recognized for outstanding contributions to student success during the 2022 to 2023 academic year. The 2024 award ceremony will take place at Bentley University in Waltham, Massachusetts on Tuesday, April 2nd. Once again, congratulations to Mr. Gross. You're an excellent teacher, even if your physics lectures sometimes leave my head spinning in a million different directions. This Wednesday night at 6 p.m., Scituate High School will have the Unity basketball game in the gym, something you will not want to miss. SHS will also be hosting the Kevin Curtis Invitational Tournament for most of Saturday, December 9th, where our wrestlers will compete with over a dozen other teams. Though I may be slightly biased as I'm participating myself, I would highly recommend checking it out. It'll be a good time. And I'll give it off to Louisa.
Thank you. Hi, sorry about my outfit. I just came from practice and I'm heading right back there after. So 79 DECA students will compete at the Seacrest in Falmouth on Thursday, December 7th and Friday, December 8th in a competition for young leaders and entrepreneurs interested in careers in marketing, finance, hospitality, and management. We wish good luck to all of our DECA students. Scituate High School will have 2 toy drives this holiday season. The first will be sponsored by the Community Service Club in conjunction with Scituate Community Christmas, and the second is being led by senior Callie Lawful from Project 351. This week, all students on the honor roll or with perfect attendance will receive an SHS Blue Card. Administration will hand out ice cream sandwiches at lunch to any student who has a Blue Card to celebrate their accomplishments. On Wednesday, November 22nd, we had our annual pep rally at the high school. It was run by student council and had some fun competitions like an obstacle course, musical chairs, balloon popping races, and tug of war. The 4 grades and teachers all competed, and 3 teachers volunteered to get pied in the face by students at the end of the pep rally, so that's fun. It's always fun.
You get to know who it was.
What'd you say?
Do we get to know who?
Sure. Mr. Ford, Ms. Newman, and Mr. Was it McNeil?
It was Mr. McNeil.
Mr. McNeil, yeah.
Good sports.
And then lastly, for some news from guidance, the SATs were held on Saturday, December 2nd at 8 a.m. at SHS, and they went very well. So that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Back to practice as you go now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Luckily, I get to go home.
Do your homework.
Right, gotta get homework. All right, Principal Beatty, generous donation by the O'Keefe family.
Good evening, everyone. I am here tonight to seek acceptance of a very generous donation made by the O'Keefe family to the Lester J. Gates Middle School GLC program. The donation is in the amount of $1,000. And what we plan to use this for is to continue expanding our outdoor learning space connected to the GLC. By having raised garden beds, all of our students will be able to participate in the programming we do out there with Farmer Johnny from Holly Hill Farm, and he's a huge hit in there. And right now, different students have different levels of access based on their different profiles. So this would allow every student to participate equally. So once again, the O'Keefes are very generous and have always been very generous to our programs, and we are very grateful for the donation.
Great, thank you so much, Principal Beatty. Take a motion to accept.
I'll do it. I move to approve the gift donated by the O'Keefe family to the Lester J. Gates Middle School GLC program with great appreciation.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Kate Shula with the Quebec City field trip. A favorite of mine.
I thought you might be happy to see me again. I won't take up too much of your time, but we're asking for your permission to begin the planning stages of our annual 8th grade trip to Quebec City. We have 2 classes of 8th grade students, so we think we will have about 30 to 40 students traveling. If possible, we'd like to combine with Cohasset Middle School like we did last year. This just helps us bring the group size up and therefore the total cost per family down. So we're looking at an estimated total group size, if you guys like the idea of combining with Cohasset, of about 50 students, which would bring us into the ballpark of $700 to $800 per student for a 3-day, 2-night trip to Quebec City. That includes all the tours, excursions, hotel stay, and 2 meals. So the only additional funding is for spending money and lunch money. We are planning to work with Jump Street Tours again, which is a tour company that we've grown very fond of in the last couple of years post-COVID. One of the reasons why we really like Jump Street Tours is because of their competitive pricing, but also because they have a 24-hour physician available to us, which relieves a tremendous amount of stress and pressure on our chaperones, but also on families that have students that have medical needs. We would, of course, go through the process with the nurse and ensure our students are safe on the trip. Like I said, Jump Street happens to be one of the more competitive companies when it comes to funding. I'm trying to anticipate the other questions that you guys usually have for me, but perhaps I've missed something.
Janice has a question. This is just a general question because about all the trips, and I think Maria may have brought it up at one of our previous meetings about students who aren't able to afford it. How, and just out of curiosity, how do we go about identifying those students? Like, what is the process, and do parents reach out?
I am so glad that you asked that question. So we work very closely with our counseling staff, and when we hold our interest meetings, we say to students, if money is a factor that is preventing you from participating, please reach out to us in some way, shape, or form, and here are a few ways that you can do that. And we rely heavily on the counseling staff to help us make contact with families that may be too shy to step up and tell us that they're facing financial burden at this time. We, like I said, we mention it to our parents. We have our staff involved. Our teachers know quite a bit about our students as well. We have access to some data in our Aspen program that helps us determine who may need some help with that. And then depending on our programming, so like for our exchange programs, we have some scholarship funds built in. But for a trip like this, we would work with student activities funds to find that funding for families, or work with Jump Street. They have scholarships for students in need. We always find a way to make this financially possible for our students.
Just as a follow-up,
Yes.
I think this is probably for kids that take French, am I right?
This is
Okay.
for 8th grade
Unfortunately,
students
missed
in the
that.
French program. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Yes, 8th grade students in the French program. It's the only middle school trip that we have. And it's for just French students.
Thank you.
Will Mr. Beatty be going this year?
Mr.
Yeah,
Beatty has
good question.
already committed.
So much fun.
First one in with his money.
Yes, Mr. Beatty will be one of the chaperones, as will our high school French teachers have stepped up. One of our French teachers is actually a native of Canada, so I feel really comfortable having her travel with the group, even though she doesn't know the group of students yet, because she's brand new this year. And then Kathy Sanchez over at Cohasset High School has done this trip more times than we have, and she will also be a lead chaperone over there. So the kids will be in really good hands.
Yeah, it seemed to work out well last year with going with Cohasset too, so that's smart, the costs.
Yeah.
I think it was really nice for the kids to make some connections in another town. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, all right. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I'll take a motion on the Quebec trip. Anyone? Yes, yes. We do have.
Say it with a French accent.
Sure.
I make a motion to, that the school committee approve the out-of-country field trip to Quebec City from May 9th to May 11th, 2024.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Merci beaucoup.
Oh, you're All right. Continuing on with our awesome out-of-country adventures for students. We have our high school teachers, Mr. O'Driscoll and Ms. Griffin. Oh, why you're on here as Mr.?
I don't know.
No, you say that. Hello.
Hello.
Ecuador.
I'm Charlie O'Driscoll.
Hello.
I'm Roxanne Griffin. And we are hoping to seek approval to plan a field trip to Ecuador and the Galapagos once again. We had such a wonderful time in February 2023. It was extremely enriching. Honestly, like one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And I know the students felt definitely the same way. And we sent over a bunch of materials, but in the sake of time, it's all from the planning company and just like logistics stuff.
Is it similar to what you showed us last?
It's very similar, yeah. Because we do plan on planning the trip with the same tour company.
Hopefully the same tour guide as well.
Yes.
We can arrange that.
We did request the same guide because he was just phenomenal.
Fantastic.
We are hoping to travel basically to the same places that we traveled to last time. We do want to make a couple of changes logistically. We'd like to use April vacation as a time target instead of February vacation. The reasons for that were kind of on both ends of Scituate and the Galapagos. Our tour director informed us that we might have more opportunity to see different species of birds that might be more rare that are migrating during that time. And we also realized that with athletics, we actually had a number of students who didn't attend the trip because their tournaments and
Playoffs
yeah,
and-
it was all happening at the time. We had a student who missed, I think, 2 tournament hockey games to travel with us too. So, you know, students who had to make those big choices, we figured April would be a better time location where they wouldn't have to. We also planned on changing the order of the locations that we were visiting. So I don't know if you want to talk a
Yeah,
little bit about where we plan to go.
So we have planned 2 days in Ecuador in the mainland for Quito and Otavalo, where we visit all sorts of historical churches and try the local food. We have lots of cultural exchanges with crafts and musics, and there's an incredible hike that we do there as well. Then we spend some time at the equator where we get to do some really fun labs and experiments that the kids really seem to enjoy. And then we're off to 3 different islands of the Galapagos, Santa Cruz, Isabela Island, and San Cristobal, which we do hiking, snorkeling, more cultural exchanges. We visit the research centers there, see some amazing biodiversity. And then we get to see really up close and personal the large tortoises and their hatchling centers and some just amazing interactions with them as well. So, I mean, it's really a once in a lifetime experience for us, hopefully twice.
And on top of that, one thing we noticed, like curriculum wise, we had students both in their Spanish curriculum and in their science, just like shouting things out. Like, we just talked about that last month in relation to environmental science. It was so cool to see everything like in real life. We know you're probably planning to ask about the price, which is an important question because this is a rather expensive trip for students. The price through EF, they gave us a quote, has increased slightly. So right now, including the airfare, hotels, nearly all the meals except those when we're in the airport, the 24-hour tour director, all the local guides. So we had different local experts for each of the islands that we visited. All transportation
between the islands.
Any of the excursions on the itinerary that we attached, and entrances to all those parks, and the basic travel insurance for cancellation for illness and covered reasons is $4,999, which we understand is a very steep price. They have a lot through EF, a lot of different scholarship and fundraising options that we did have a number of students take advantage of last year, which was very helpful. They also have interest-free payment plans that most families took advantage of last year. And just want to echo everything that Kate Shula just mentioned about, making sure that students who are interested, who may be unsure about reaching out, that we're communicating with our guidance counselors and trying to connect those students to those different opportunities for fundraising and scholarships. I think that's the big summary. The best thing I think that we can say about the company that we're choosing to go with is their safety and their support team options. This is like one of the largest travel companies, and they're based in Boston. I think they're the biggest provider of travel in
Massachusetts.
Yeah, for schools here.
Been around forever.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have offices like in Central America and South
Panama,
America.
I think.
Yeah, that's the closest one. And we have, of course, that 24-hour guide, but also like really easy communication with their offices here and in Panama. They've just been like phenomenal to work with and extremely responsive. So that safety and support that comes with that big network is really what we're looking for on a trip like this.
Yeah. So this sounds great. I think probably all of us would want the opportunity to participate. Just a couple of questions.
Yeah.
You mentioned April, but what year are we talking about?
2025. Yes.
So April 2025.
Yeah, not this April.
No,
all of it.
215. No, wait, so this is different then.
Yeah, this says February 25, but I want to make,
They just changed the month, yeah.
yeah, I just want to make sure it was 2025, not 2024.
No.
2025,
So
April
can we approve
2025.
it that far? We must be able to approve that far in advance.
Probably
No,
need
we
our
can't.
approval.
Right.
The only way, we wouldn't be able to plan the trip much
Without it.
closer just because of
I think
the,
it's more like the short end of
Yeah,
planning
it
that
needs
is
to be
an
within,
issue.
more than
Okay,
6
not the
months, so
longer end.
I'm comfortable. I just wanted to make sure that I had the right
yeah,
year.
I'm sorry about
Sorry,
that.
April 2025.
What are the
exact
dates?
We don't have the exact flight information yet. They
Oh,
give that
okay.
3 months.
So the
Yeah,
April
but we're-
vacation
over April
roughly
vacation.
Yeah.
of 2025.
It's usually a day or two before
Mhm.
April vacation starts, and then we hope to come home on a weekend on that Saturday, ideally, so to have Sunday to sort of recoup, but
Got it.
we'll see what we can do.
Target is leaving that Friday and returning the following Saturday.
Is this, assuming so you went last year.
Last
So
year.
do you
Yes, yes,
anticipate
we booked
if this is as successful as it was, do you anticipate being every other year going forward? Is that like a cycle that seems right?
Yes.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially, yeah. In the past, we were traveling to Costa Rica every other year, and we wanted to kind of
Yeah.
create this new opportunity because this is just so unique and wonderful. So going forward, hopefully, that's kind of the big goal, but kind of one step at a time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
So in terms of which students would attend, so this is for students who will be in 11th or 12th grade in 2025, so currently.
Predominantly, yeah.
Currently sophomores and
Sophomores and
juniors,
juniors.
rising
Okay.
juniors and seniors, yes.
Got it.
Just a curiosity question, do you give any support in like getting passports and help that, yeah, you do, cause.
We have tons of parent meetings and student meetings. We give them all the deadlines of when their passports need to be in, when they need to fill out their visa forms and all of that, because it's a lot to navigate. So we make sure we have lots of those meetings well before deadlines are due.
And EF is really, really helpful with the paperwork side of it too, which was great.
What a good lesson for the schoolers to learn.
Yeah, right, there's
Just
so
to
much
learn
more
that
to it.
process. how to
It's
travel
quite the
there.
process.
Yeah, we actually had a student on the trip in February this year who had never been on a plane or in an airport
Yeah,
before.
that was interesting.
So he was like, everything was new and it was really so cool.
It's fun to watch.
Great.
Great, we'll take a motion on Ecuador trip.
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to approve the out-of-country field trip to Galapagos, Ecuador from sometime around April vacation,
Yes.
2025.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I did.
Good.
Oh,
Save that.
I did. I didn't notice that. Thank you. You know, a little tiny part of my brain was like, why are these? I am so sorry,
Probably made them
ladies.
Oh, I thought you did that on purpose.
No, it was an accident.
I thought it was by design.
They were trying to get
I
They were
had flipped the paper. You don't want to know where my brain was. It's okay. My apologies. Just wanted you to hear about the Galapagos trip. Maybe you can jump in. All right. Hello. Hi. I'm Megan Gregory, the pre-K to 5 Humanities Curriculum Coordinator.
Is it on?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
closer.
wasn't close enough.
And I'm Sam Lesniak. I am the Social Studies 6 through 12 curriculum department chair, I should say. And this is my first year in this role.
So we just wanted to talk a little bit about the social studies programming K-12 today. And if you'll go to the next slide. One thing when Sam and I sat down and started talking about this is how social studies learning in Scituate is active and it's engaging. It's not kids sitting in rows memorizing dates and battles. We really want kids to be historians. And so here we have examples of kids in 6th grade being historians by working on their ancient civilizations projects. In 2nd grade at Jenkins, being geographers by going into an amazing inflatable globe that Bridgewater State lends to us and kind of guides us through as our 2nd graders are learning about geography skills and map skills. And kids at the high school being economists when we're talking about the stock market, and Sam was just sharing about how the stock market had just crashed before this this picture, so they're frantically trying to sell their stocks as they're doing their simulation. But social studies is an active process where kids are doing the work of being historians and geographers and economists. When we're focusing on elementary, one of the really big things that we work on in elementary school is teaching kids to take multiple points of view. And in elementary school, this is something that we do across the curriculum. We're doing this with social emotional learning with elementary students. We're doing this in literacy when we're talking about reading and writing, taking points of view. And it's something that we really intentionally teach in social studies. We ask kids to consider who is telling this story and also to think about whose voice is left out of this story. And we're really intentionally teaching kids to ask those questions. One thing that I highlighted on this slide was at the end of last year, we received a grant from DESE for our 5th grade social studies teachers to get PD and materials and inquiry-based social studies.
So at the beginning of the year, in September, we had 2 days of professional development with Educurious, focused on how we can make social studies more engaging and inquiry-based and student-focused. And instead of us as the teachers giving students, here's what happened, we're really engaging kids in being able to ask questions and focus not solely on content, but on content and skills. So that kids are asking questions, they're analyzing sources, they're able to look at different points of view, think about primary sources and secondary sources. So that's been a really big focus with our 5th graders. The first picture you see here is Cushing 5th grade teachers had kids bring in their own artifacts from home. There are some amazing artifacts that people have in their houses that they were bringing in, and without us giving them the answers, we just had kids like really examining artifacts and asking questions about them and trying to figure out what could this be and how can we find out more about this. It was awesome. So that's really been a focus for us in 5th grade. The feedback from teachers and students alike has been phenomenal for the launch of this so far.
Great, thank you. So I think at the secondary level, we really try to build on that idea of multiple perspectives and help students become problem solvers. And I think the basis of that is this idea that they're a member of many communities, and in order to be an active participant, they need to recognize when problems exist in those communities and work to solve them in some manner. So obviously solving those kind of problems requires a lot of things. It requires historical knowledge, it requires research, and it involves collaboration. And so those are the things we really try to focus on at the secondary level. So I picked 2 pictures to sort of try and illustrate. In 2018, I don't know if this has come before you guys before, but the state passed a law mandating civics education for all students. And from that came the Civic Action Project requirement that all schools have. So we've done that since that time, but last year we piloted a local showcase where we had students present the work that they had done, as well as participated in a regional showcase in Worcester. And so these are 2 students who have sort of picked a focus area, picked a topic that really meant something to them, researched it, spoke to decision makers, tried to hear multiple perspectives on how to solve it, and then came up with their own proposal of what they think should be done, as well as try to enact it themselves. So that's something that we really did a lot with last year and are looking to build on. The second picture is just a picture of students engaged in a simulation. I know it looks like on the surface just students standing around, but I think that embraces this idea that learning is going to look different in an active classroom. Kids are up, so if you could be in this room, the buzz that was happening as the kids are sort of like, no, I think we should do this, and no, I think we should do this. That's what real history is and should be. And so as much as possible, we put students in those positions to be decision makers and to be problem solvers. The other thing I just wanted to highlight is that we currently offer 4 advanced placement courses in the history department. And so I just wanted to sort of give a comparison to the national average. We do quite well when you compare to the national average, in between 20 to, I think it's 30 something points above the nation. And so this chart is just students who have earned a 3 or higher, so a passing score on the exam. I deliberately chose not to give you 2020, even though those scores are really good, because that was a limited test. It's not really an apples to apples comparison. The other thing I just wanted to point out is the one on the right, human geography, was actually in its first year last year, and they had 30 students take the exam and did really well in its first year. And then just because I feel like a snapshot doesn't often give the in-depth picture, I also just wanted to give, and I guess I'm a type A in this way, wanted to give you each of the years breakdown. And I think the reason why I wanted to show this to you is just because I think we are consistently offering a good number of students access to higher level coursework, and they're doing quite well in it. And so last year we had, I wrote the number down somewhere, I think like 150 students taking an advanced placement course in the history department, and this year we have 237. So that's 1/3 of the high school is accessing an advanced placement course in the social studies department. So students are engaged, they're active, and they're learning a lot. I also just thought I would point out, I feel like our teachers put so much time and energy into these, so I wanted to recognize that there are so many diverse extracurricular opportunities through the social studies department. They don't have to be through the social studies department, but they are. And so just a couple highlights. We started offering this year a History Bowl interspace club at Gates. So that actually came from some of the high school History Bowl members approached me and said, we really need A, a feeder program, and B, there's actually a middle school version. And so they worked with us with the middle school and got that started this year. And I think it's a really cool place for kids to find some like peers in middle school. We also have a bunch of high school extracurriculars. So Model UN is probably our longest running and most well-attended club. We have between 60 to 80 students at any given time who go on trips. They come before you all the time to approve them. So this year they went to Montreal, they're going to Berkeley, they've been to San Francisco, New York, all over the place. And just recently we had 2 kids come back winning best delegates. So we're really proud of sort of the work they're doing there. History Bowl team has done quite well. They went to regionals and nationals in the past couple of years. Debate club, as well as just sort of 2 other options I wanted to sort of make people aware of. We partner with a lot of local organizations to run speech competitions, the VFW and the Legion, and it really acts, some of the requirements are pretty steep, like the Legion competition is a 6 to 8 minute speech, no notes, about a part of the Constitution. And so these are really higher level opportunities. We coach kids through it. We help them deliver them. Kids get access to this great feedback. They go on to sort of regional and states and sometimes win scholarships. The other thing we do is we every year send a student to act as our representative for Student Government Day, where they get to simulate in the State House the role of a congressional leader.
And talking about kind of what's up next with the social studies departments. So part of our 5th grade grant that we got through DESE, we applied with Cohasset. So our 5th grade teachers, we did our professional development in September and then again just in November with the Cohasset 5th grade teachers. And so we're looking forward to working with them moving forward in our March PD Day as well. So we're gonna kind of continue that, and it's nice to have a South Shore cohort who's kind of all talking about the same pedagogy and being able to share what worked, what didn't, which has been fabulous. We also highlighted here Mary Porter from the Scituate Historical Society was kind enough she's coming to the elementary schools to share what she does as an archivist at this historical society. Was amazing. She showed us a scrapbook that she had found from the 1930s, and that she went through the research process of finding out where all these places were, the history around them, who the people were. It was a really cool, and the kids were able to notice places that they knew around town. So that was a really exciting opportunity that we had with them as well.
And then just some secondary sort of next steps. This year, the state has required a pilot of the civics MCAS. It's not a graduation requirement, it's just a pilot. We have actually participated voluntarily in 3 prior years of this, so I don't think this will be new, but we are excited to get that data back and use it to inform our instruction. This year, we're also looking to build upon some of the showcases, like I said, the local and the regional one, and help kids expand even further into the reach of what they're researching and acting upon. We have 2 new courses which will come before you, I think in a couple weeks when Program of Studies comes before you. I'm really excited about both of them. They're 2 new advanced placement courses. So AP Seminar is a course that really is a cross-curricular inquiry course. So students, it's a skill-based course. It's entirely helping kids improve their research, their collaboration skills, their critical thinking skills. And it's not a content-driven course, it's a skills-driven course. And the reason I'm excited about it sort of twofold. One is because it's really meant to be sort of a gateway advanced placement course where students can gain those skills, practice them, and then take them on to other higher level coursework. The other reason I'm excited about it is because it really is a chance for us to open up access to students who maybe in the past thought that AP wasn't for me. This is a great course to sort of to start out at and help build those skills. The other course we're going to hopefully offer next year is AP Comparative Government. I think we've gotten pretty steady feedback that students want more global coursework. They recognize it's an interconnected world and they want access to that sort of information. So this is a really cool course that actually examines 6 different governments and compares them together. The last next step for secondary is really just using our EL8 MCAS data to refine and enhance our skill instruction. So I know you guys have been talking about in your prior meetings, just different departments using that data to help teachers. And we wanted to get in on that train because we don't have an MCAS right now, but the basis of what we do is skills. And so that data is directly applicable to us, and so we wanted to use it and to make sure we're taking from it the best pieces we can.
So thank you. Great, thank you both so very much. Again, apologies for taking you out of order there. My fault. Any questions or comments from the committee? Or Ms. Lindblom?
I had to write down the word educurious. I love it.
That is not the word of the year. I saw today that it's Riz. I just needed to say that.
So the slide that shows the advanced placement exams comparing to the national average, I mean, we're doing fantastic. And not to comment on the national average, but it's pretty low. Like just wanted to mention that.
I mean, it's sad.
That-
It is.
That the, you know, and I'm so happy that we're doing so well, but I couldn't help it when I was drawn to those like low scores. It's kind of sad. So kudos.
But on that note, sorry,
All right, shut it off.
on that note, what would you attribute those positive scores on? Is it a result of beginning these skills in elementary and increasing them and utilizing them appropriately moving forward, or is it something else? Is it something to do? It's not recent, which I know we attributed Mass Inside our improvement to, but this has been consistently good.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think I would attribute it to a couple of things. I think the first is, as you're describing, sort of that layered informational gathering that students are gaining skills and knowledge as they go through all the history courses. And I think we work pretty hard to make sure we're vertically aligning our skills as students go. That's something we continue to work on. I think the other piece is that we've tried really hard not to, and I'll put it in quotes, teach to the test. Because I think history, as we talked about, needs to be active, it needs to be engaging. And so if we're just rolling through curriculum, one point at a time without making that come alive in some way and almost going beyond what the frameworks ask, then I think we're missing an opportunity. So certainly we stick to those curriculum guides, we do them thoroughly, but we build in as much active participation and cool activities to gauge and increase student interest. And I think the teachers do a really phenomenal job with that.
Great, thank you.
I have a question about the AP seminar. So it sounds like that's kind of an introductory preparatory class for AP classes. So is it going to be what grades will that be offered to?
So we're still working out the final details in the program and studies when you guys get it. I think we anticipate it running 9 to 12. And a couple reasons for that. One is that some of our ninth graders are ready for rigorous coursework and we want to offer them that opportunity if that's where they're at. The other reason we want to offer 9 through 12 is because, and we'll talk more about this, but what goes along with offering AP seminar, which is really exciting, is this idea of an AP capstone diploma designation. So if students take AP seminar and then eventually AP research, which we'll start offering the next year, hopefully, as well as 4 additional AP courses, so it's a high bar, and they pass all and they do well on all, they can get a degree designation that says that they have an AP capstone designation. So it's a high bar. It's one that we think some of our students will go after. But you know, it's something that we're really excited about. So it's this idea of we want to open it to all, long story short, because kids are going to take it for different reasons, to build their skills, to go, you know, to enhance their skills and go after this upper level coursework. And so we would just want to leave that open for kids.
I was just curious if civics in 8th grade, is that a course or a module?
So 8th grade civics is the course. And so we reformatted once, I was in the department at this time, but when the law came out, we reformatted. So it used to be World History 1 was in 8th grade. And so with the new frameworks, it's an entire year devoted to civics, where that is the content. And as part of that, embedded is the project.
Thank you. I noticed too, I zoomed in on the slide and the project that the kids are showing is all about the school calendar. And it just reminded me that this could be a great opportunity for some kids to talk to us too, if their civics project happens to align with something that's in her purview.
So they will.
And they will.
Thank you in advance.
You'll get a bunch of
They
emails.
reach out
Oh, good.
Very well. They're very proactive and
assertive.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then I was also curious at the elementary level, I loved hearing what you were saying about the PD that you attended this fall that was more focused on inquiry-based models. And so I was just curious, like, I don't have a good understanding right now of our curriculum in elementary school. And I was also curious if the inquiry-based, I've heard a little bit about investigating history, and I wasn't sure if that's what this was, and if it goes well, is it something that we would adopt, more wholesale over the years?
Yeah, so it is investigating history. That was the DESE grant that we're working with. It's been phenomenal. Right now in elementary school, it's only offered in 5th grade. They're piloting it in 3rd and 4th this year. As soon as that becomes available, we'll definitely be applying to extend that grant and see how it works with our 3rd and 4th grades as well, because this was in 5th grade meant to be a pilot. We're going to try out one unit of this, and literally after the first 2 weeks, all of the 5th grade teachers said, well, why would we ever go back? We're just going to do all of these units. So it's been great.
That's awesome. And just out of curiosity too, is that like all open source material? So it's like free from DESE and everything is accessible, so we don't have to buy things. That's awesome. Okay, just open source. Thank you.
That's great.
Wonderful. Ooh, sorry. Great. Thank you both very much. We appreciate it. Okay, Principal Arranger with the high school improvement plan.
Yeah, Mr. Burke, I just asked if these are Plymouth South colors, so they, yeah, it's not on purpose. Actually, they're somewhat Scituate, Yeah.
With the new lighthouse logo, it is a little.
Yeah, this is kind of this color.
Sort of
Pretty close.
multitude of blue happening.
I used to work at both Plymouth North and Plymouth South, and when we went to Plymouth North with this shirt on, I took a lot of heat, boy, I'll tell you. They weren't very happy with me. So I used to wear it just to make people mad, Well, thank you for having me today. And first of all, isn't David and Louisa amazing? Like when they come up here, I can sometimes I sit home, just watch them two entertain. They are outstanding students. So we're really lucky to have them. So our school improvement plan at Scituate High School has 6 goals, and people think I'm crazy for having 6 goals, but they all, I think, play a role in what we want to do and what we're heading towards. These goals reflect the needed elements that we have in the high school, that we need in the high school to be really the best high school in Massachusetts. I mean, that's our goal. And I'll get on announcements and say that to kids, like our goal is to be the best high school in Massachusetts. And in order to do that, we took a deep dive into how we're going to get there and what kind of elements that we need to put in place to get there. But that, people laugh when I say that, but that is truly our goal. To put this plan together, we analyzed attendance data, we analyzed MCAS data, we met with staff members and our school council to build this improvement plan. And we looked at what elements we would need to improve education at Scituate High School. So how will we know when we reach our goal? That's the big thing, is you always have to have the why, like what are we trying to head towards to reach these goals? And, we want to have our attendance rates over 95.75, which is, they're teetering around there right now. So we want that increased. It's increased since we started, but we want to get it to a higher level. We want to offer rigorous coursework enrollment to access all the students. Our goal is to have all 11th and 12th graders take at least one rigorous course. So every single student that enters 11th to 12th, they attack one rigorous course. And we have a list of courses that they can choose from to do that. We want to show typical or high growth in our MCAS scores. That would be a huge stepping point. And then, clearly articulated positive culture of students and staff as teammates, which is really important. The word teammates is important because it takes an army to get to where we're trying to get to. So that piece, and align that to the 5 pillars of a vision of a graduate that we're going to try to start to put into place. It'll take a few years to do that, but I'll get into that a little bit further as we go along. So we have 6 goals, and what I'll do is I'll briefly just give a little recap of each goal. And our first goal is to improve school tardy and absence rates. And we really started this the first day we got into the high school. We talked about this in the summer, and we started looking at attendance. And because truthfully, if students aren't in school, they're not learning. And that's the biggest thing. We look at scores, we can look at everything we want, but if we don't have the students in the building with us on time, ready to go, then they're not learning and the teachers can't teach. So that's such an important goal for us. We want this to increase time on learning. We want kids in the classroom. And the more we do that, we'll see scores go higher and higher as we go through there, and their education will increase tremendously if we do that. I'll share a slide later that shows a little bit of the improvement that we have. We've got a long way to go. We have a little bit of improvement. Some students need more support with others, so we've asked guidance to connect with students. So anyone that has high absent rate right now, we're connecting with the student through our administrative team. Mrs. Kirk and Mr. Lewett are doing a great job with this. And also guidance is taking a toll on this, and they're reaching out to the student too and pulling in and trying to build some kind of connection with the students. Our second goal was to restructure H block into what I need now block, and that's kind of important because we're looking at the student from many different perspectives of what they need. Some students need some academic support, some students need social support, whatever it might be. But the goal is to get the student for those 28 minutes or so in a place where they're comfortable and happy. We want to use this time more wisely than we have in the past, because there's a good piece of chunk of time there that we can use for students to improve academically and to work on skills that they need to work on. So this is a goal that's really, since the school year started, we've seen Win Block used more effectively each day, which is really good. And credit to the teachers for buying in on it. Our third goal: increase opportunity for all Scituate High School students to reach their unique potential. And that's really important, their unique potential, because every kid's different. And we're trying to do that. So we're challenging more Scituate High School students to enroll in the rigorous courses we just talked about. Every 11th and 12th grade student would try to take on just at least one rigorous course. Hopefully more, but one is the goal. We're going to add AP seminar and AP research, which you just heard the history coordinator talk about that. We've got a project lead the way engineering program we'd like to put in, and we met with the science department head and started going through the process of doing that, looking at grants and things like that. And we want to add more internship opportunities. One of my goals is to keep Scituate students here. I mean, I want kids to walk into this building and say, I want to be there. When we were in school as kids, I still remember being in 7th grade as a kid and going into the high school, Plymouth Carver, and saying, I want to go to that high school. Like, I want to be part of that high school. And our goal is to get every Scituate student, we want those students here staying with us in our building. So we want to offer more opportunities so that there's a place for every student. There's a home for everyone here. And again, to be the best high school in Massachusetts, we need them all here. We can't have kids going elsewhere if we're going to be the best high school in Massachusetts. So that's huge. We're going to have an 8th grade showcase night on January 18th, and that's going to be a place where we're going to show, we're going to introduce what we actually do here at Scituate High School to the families and the 8th grade students coming up. That's going to be an amazing night. We're going to give T-shirts out, and anytime you feed them, they come. So we're going to have some kind of snacks, coffees, waters, snacks, things. And Mr. Burkett will probably show up if I have snacks. He'll probably be there with me. So yeah, so we really are going to try to jazz it up and make it exciting. We're going to have music playing and things like that. Again, we want students to want to be here. We want students to want to be part of what we're trying to do. Our fourth goal: to foster stakeholder collaboration to build a positive, equitable school culture. It starts with announcements. I get on announcements every Win Block. If you want to come and listen to it, come down during Win Block. I get on those announcements and make a lot of noise. We're trying to create a safe and welcoming environment so that students feel welcome and they're happy here and they can reach their unique potential. We have teachers present in the hallway in between classes and in the morning. We're trying to push that so that the students are seeing their teachers out in the hallway, and it's a great way to get them into the classroom with a big smile on their face. We're trying to create a school culture where everyone is welcome and treated fairly. Mrs. Kirk has come up with a class cup, we're calling this, and what it is students by class receive points for events that they go to. So we started with this winter, I believe we have 3. We have a boys basketball game, a girls basketball game, and one of the winter concerts. And the class that shows up for the most, we have QR code, and I think every 5 kids is with 1 point or something like that. They're going to get it. And at the end of the year, whoever wins the class cup for attending more of our activities, we're going to have some kind of big pizza party or ice cream party or something like that for them. And then Journey 18th, to talk about that showcase, which is going to be amazing too. We're also doing blue cards, anyone that has perfect attendance, and I'm getting this out here, so if anyone's watching, you know now. We're having blue cards, anyone with perfect attendance or on the honor roll, we're giving them a blue Scituate card, and we're gonna give an ice cream sandwich at lunch, so just to celebrate some great things that they're doing. Unified basketball games, Sailor of the Month, all kinds of fun things we're doing to try to have, get kids to love it here at Scituate High School. Goal 5, increase MCAS scores in math and English. And to do that, we're identifying students that need to improve in some of their skills. And guidance, again, is reaching out in those areas with us to support us. We're going to use WinBlock to support in some of those areas to see how we can go ahead and support the lower performance students. And connections is the key to education. So with guidance involved and the teachers involved, and we're asking all the teachers to reach out to each student in your classroom and build a connection. Because once we build a connection with the student, then we can really do some great things with them. And the teachers do a great job at this. You walk around our building and the teachers are really interacting with students, and it's a really fun place to be. Our last goal, I'm going to establish the 5 pillars of a vision of a graduate. So I took a look at the 21st century skills and the mass curriculum frameworks for students who are ready for college and careers. And look at the board right there. There's 5 of them that we're kind of looking at that kind of geared towards Scituate High School, that we want those students when they graduate from Scituate High School to have those 5 skills. That we're going to start this a little bit in the springtime, and we're going to get together with some of our departments and put together some committees to go ahead and start to build the 5 pillars that we want here at Scituate High School. I think that's going to be a really, really good initiative for us. The next slide is our attendance sheet, our attendance slide, and this is absent students per day. At the end of term 1, we had 31.81 students on the average absent a day. Last year at this time, it was 48.39. So, almost 17 students better are coming to Scituate High School every day. So it's not where we want to be. Believe me, if we're going to be the best high school in Massachusetts, that number's going to go down to like 5 or something. And the 5 is like really, really bad. They really need to be out of school. They're really sick if they don't get that. So I told our students, if we ever get to 100% attendance, we'll I don't know, I'll do a big field day out here if Mr. Burkett will let me. We'll do something really fun with the kids, but they're buying in a little bit. We're getting them here a little bit better than the stats shown in the past. And tardies are even better. Tardies are 46.76 last year at this time. And at the end of term 1, we had 26.47 students that were tardy to school. So, it's fun. I sit out here in the morning and I actually see kids running out of their cars and trying to get to, and I'm almost saying, hey, slow down a little bit. You're going to be up, but they care, and they're starting to care, which is really something that we want to see, and they're trying to get into the classrooms and get into their seats and start to learn. So, and it's all about learning, time on learning. You get here and you get here on time, and those life skills that kids need to be able to be successful is so important. Get to school, get to wherever you got to be on time. And our last slide is our school improvement plan reflects the belief that Scituate High School can be the best high school in Massachusetts. I believe we have the staff. Students are really smart in this building. As I walk around, the authentic lessons that go on and some of the great things that are going on in the classroom. So what's next? We're going to identify specific roles, people who will serve as our go-to people for go-to staff and persons for each of our actions, each of our 6 goals. Through guidance, administration, team leaders, student leaders. We meet with student leaders a ton to get their feedback on how the pulse of the building is. We believe that all students can learn, and our goal is to meet students where they are and to challenge them to reach their full potential. We want all students to know that we care deeply about them, and that's important. And that sounds kind of like a people say that. I truly believe that. We care about kids in this building, and as principal of the building, that's one of the things. I pulled in a student the other day that was tardy. He had about 8 tardies or something like that. And the first thing I said to him was, you're important to us. Like, get here. We want you here. You're coming in late every day. And how come? And we asked questions and try to find out. And there's some things going on. But the important thing is, I said, you're important to us. We want you with us. Come in. The next day he was late again. But, but I tried, So I kind of laughed. I pulled and said, I'm not giving up on you. You're going to get in. So, but, just so kids know that they're important is important. We want kids walking in here feeling like, they're important to us because they really are. We believe that all staff are highly skilled professionals that care about their students. Our goal is to make connections with all students so they feel safe and welcome at Scituate High School. And the last thing is we believe all stakeholders play an important role in education process at Scituate High School. And our goal is to make that partnership stronger through positive collaboration. People think I'm crazy to have 6, but I think each play a role in where we're trying to head. That's why we have 6.
All right, thank you so much. Questions for Megan?
I have a couple of questions. So during the wind block, when students want to, they use it's like an app, or they do it online to sign up. Are you able to like track like that kids are utilizing the wind block for what it's for?
That's a great question. So what we did was we have My Flex Learning, and they sign up on Mondays for where they're going to go for the week. And then we walk around as administration and find out where they're at, and we'll periodically check that. And it's been pretty good. It's been, the first week wasn't so good. Someone was supposed to be in math class and they were down in the gym, so we're
I
trying.
forgot.
Yeah. But the teachers are buying in. We're asking the teachers, be really strict on attendance, and when they're not where they're supposed to be, let us know so we can call a student down and say, hey, what happened? And to have some communication with that. So the follow-up's been really good.
So you're able to see that students are in fact using, like they sign up for math, so you know that they're going for extra math.
Yes, yes, yeah.
In goal number 6, you listed the 5 pillars, and did you say you got them off the DESE website?
Wait, those are geared towards Scituate, but the DESE website has some guidelines in which you want to follow and where we're heading towards 21st century learning. So that's kind of, we're reading through that to look at that to see where we're headed towards and be guided towards the 21st century learning skills.
Okay, so these 5 pillars that you listed, that you're then gonna work on those to tweak them for Scituate?
Yes, yeah, and they may change. We're gonna meet with the staff and get together with our committees. They may change, but those kind of gonna be the basis of what we're looking at, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much for this. I think this is great. I don't have a problem with the 6 goals. I think it's great. I think they're all very reasonable. One comment, I really like the 8th grade recruiting event. I think there's something that seems obvious that we should have had and we haven't. And I think that it will encourage, and I think that the earlier the better. I think he says in January, I think to me seems like the right time to do it as well. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. I can just see like you're in there and you're showing like all the great things, like the drama performance going to high school. You see the success of the kids, going to Super Bowl, TD Garden, and all the things they're doing well. And that's a recruiting event to say, hey, I want to be a part of that. So I think it's awesome. I'm sad that we hadn't think about it years ago, like 10, 12, 15 years ago, because we do want to keep the kids in Scituate here. I think that will help.
And there are some students, even if we draw one little interest, they say, we're going to show curriculum, what we offer in each field, and they may look at a science course and say, oh my God, I want to take that science course. I'm going to Scituate.
Yep.
So we're trying to involve as much as we can with that night.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Because previously, did we have like curriculum night?
We never had a recruiting event.
But like at the end of the year?
More like,
It was like in the spring.
orientation.
It was orientation.
Because I remember,
It was like an orientation, like June, like after you already decided where you're going,
Yeah.
this is what it's gonna look like. But we want to get those kids
because I
before
knew
they
they would
decide.
have like students speaking.
Yeah, it was too late.
Yeah, just to add some context, that we did something in the spring, and then it's kind of too late, and we did an okay job, but I think the new mindset is we're gonna tell our story and kind of show off what we have here. It's like the best kept secret, and then you look in other private schools and vocational schools are doing these open houses and showing off all the great things they have, and if people don't know what we're offering here, then that's a shame on us. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to show off all the great things we're doing here, and also, to speak with Mr. Leonard to do that, Ms. Gates said January, but even to do that earlier next year, to go in the same time that the private schools are doing their fall open houses to show that we can hang with the best of them.
I would even suggest maybe doing something in the fall and then like
We're
again.
thinking
twice.
October next year.
Yeah.
Thinking October, so to get that out there before they start to look at other schools and maybe leaving, they're gonna hopefully see what we do here and want to stay.
Yeah, I have one question on absences and tardies policy. I fully agree with everything that we're trying to do. I just have one thing's kind of been an issue for me is our dismissals. Do we keep track of early dismissals and how that relates to tardiness or time on learning? Does that count as an absence or does it count as a tardy if a student is dismissed early?
So we were having a lot of sports teams being dismissed and, you know, to the point where I was sitting in my office saying, what is going on? So we went to the principal AD meeting and told them we're not getting dismissed anymore. Unless it is a must, like you have a tournament game where the game is scheduled early through the MIA or there's an ice rink time that you have to go and commit to. But the everyday dismissals of athletes and other students just leaving our building at 2 o'clock, at 2:15 when they can start. And I told the EDs and principals, we're starting our games. If you're playing Scituate High School, we got to start at 4:15. We'll start at 4:15. And they were great. All the EDs with 100% support. Yeah, you know, so we got to go down to Plymouth South and go beat the Panthers. And we're not going to start that game till 4:15, 4:20, 4:25, whenever we can get our students there, get them properly prepared for the game. But we're not getting them out of class early to do that. They have to be in class. If they're not in class, they're not learning.
Great, thank you.
Look, it puts you in a tough spot with the state saying, have on learning, and then
Yeah.
you're right in the middle of that, so that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's question.
I agree with your reflection that 6 goals is a lot, but I do think they all seem appropriate, and I feel like you made a really good case for why they all need to be there. So I think that was really well done. I think when we're hearing a report back, I love seeing the data specifically on the tardiness and how we can easily see the progress that you've made. I was just curious, and I don't expect you to have this now, but I think in the future, like when you're reporting back the access to rigorous coursework, for example, like where are we now? I have no idea like how many kids in 11th and 12th grade are actually accessing those classes and like what does improvement look like? And similarly, I think on the focus on growth, the typical and high growth, I love that focus. I think that makes a ton of sense. But I don't think I have a good sense right now of like how that breaks down. So, but I'm glad that that's your focus, and I feel like that'll be a good thing to report on in the future.
And I looked at some of the data on how many courses students are in right now that are considered rigorous courses, and there's about 15 or so juniors, that's it, that aren't taking those rigorous courses right now, and less seniors. So, we're looking at even second semester possibly challenging students to say, hey, maybe you should enter this second semester rigorous course, which is listed as rigorous course, to try to challenge some of our students.
So it's a pretty small number that
Pretty
aren't.
small number.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
that's great. I did think of one other question I had, I just don't know this, I'm probably the only one who doesn't know, but what was H block before it was WIN? Was it like
I don't know, because
advisory or-
it was,
Homeroom?
I think it was just called the H block, but it was
Okay.
more of an open block where, they would, I mean, I don't know how organized it was, I wasn't here, but
Yeah.
we started looking at it in the summer and saying, let's put it into this WIN block format, which another school, I think this other.
The elementaries do it, yeah.
Yeah, and we kind of stole that idea with
I
that
think it's
wording
great, yeah.
and piggybacked off that.
I'm hoping that you'll see a difference, I think that's a good way to use that time.
Thank you.
So turned it off. We're being so good about not having.
I know, sorry. So I was curious, I'm sure you know better than I do, there's so much being talked about and written about attendance in the nation right now. So I'm wondering, when you wrote goal 1, what's informing your choices for attendance interventions? Because there's so many people saying so many different things. I'm curious what you're.
I mean, I read one day this summer, I was sitting at the beach, I'm reading some literature, and one of the things I read that the CEOs in this country right now, the number one thing, certain polls were what they're looking for in students that are coming out of high school and coming out of college, and their number one thing was attendance. They said that we want students or kids that are coming out of these academic institutions to come to work every day on time, because they feel like if we can get them there every day, we can teach them the skills we need to teach them to run our company. So that's that important, and that's always stuck in my head that, that's just getting there on time and showing up and being there is really important.
Yeah.
So that started the whole thought process.
Yeah. So I just had a couple of questions about the goals. So in goal number 3, you talk about establish academic support teams to identify students at high risk. What does the high school do now with respect to identifying these high risk students? Like, what does it look? are there support teams now, or is this a brand new thing? I really don't know.
Yeah, we looked at some of the lower performing students, and what we did is we took a look at the freshman and sophomore class that are lower performing. And there wasn't a lot of them, but there's enough that's, it's concerning. And so we broke those students up into groups and we're asking guidance to meet with each one of whoever's on there and to make a connection and to find out, because there's definite correlation between the absences and the achievement. So we have guidance right now that, by the time the holidays roll around, I'm going to meet with all the students and this 5 typical things they're going to ask those students to try to make some kind of connection and see if we can help that student.
So the support teams are like the guidance counselors and folks of that nature?
Department heads,
Okay.
and administrative team, and everybody's, the whole.
Yeah, the whole team,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
Yeah. So in goal number 4, you talk about creating a school culture to establish authentic connection and then include all students and staff in decision-making, positive relationships. Can you just say more about that? Like, what does it look like to include all students and staff in decision-making? That seems like a tall order. So I'm curious what you're thinking about that.
Yeah, like we have a principal leadership team. There's probably 38 students. In fact, we're meeting with them at the end of this week. Oh, they don't know yet, so I gotta send them an email. Because we have an agenda, we want them to help us to organize the January 18th night, so I like their feedback because they're kids and they give you really good feedback, I gave them a policy on a cell phone policy that we have, and if they liked it, didn't like it, wanted to change it, not change it. So just getting feedback from students is huge, and then they feel part of it, and we have some kids that are in their classroom saying, get in there, to try to get kids in school, and they're just really good leaders that are helping out.
So when you either come back at the end of the year or next year and tell us about all the amazing successes that you're gonna have, because I know you're already having great success, do you have plans to somehow collect what you just described so that you'll be able to tell us about all the data that you're collecting about these relationships?
Yeah, well, we make notes of everything that we
Okay.
have going on and all the meetings we have. And
Yeah.
right now, I'm a big paper person, so I have it written down on paper, but when I'm here at night at work, I'll put it on with a sheet. So I'm adding to lists and things that
Got
are
it.
going on. And it's actually really fun.
Yeah, I bet.
Like I
Yeah.
said to my wife the other night, kidding around, she says, you're always on your computer. And I said, Vaughn, it's not like it's work. For me, it's still it's like when I was coaching, trying to put together a team to win. It was like, I liked looking at what other teams were doing and who they were wrestling and how we could beat them. And I kind of feel like that now. I love what's going on. It's exciting to me. So it's not.
Well, we're hearing the stories. You're definitely having fun, which we love.
The announcements are great. Come on in and listen to something
Yeah.
else. Yeah. I do a ghost sailors for like 15 seconds and at the end I can't breathe and I gotta shut the phone off
Yeah.
and Michelle passes and go, oh my God, I almost didn't make it.
So I have one more question, and it's about the 5 pillars that Janice mentioned. And I do need to do some of my own research on DESE because I haven't looked. When I read the pillars that you have on that table, the things that come to my mind are there's nothing about compassion, empathy, critical thinking, media literacy, data literacy, emotional intelligence, and even, to Jamil and his great work on lit. I don't see any flavor of that. So I'm just wondering, is it just embedded within those pillars, or do you think that's going to be explored at some point?
We're going to open that up to our committees and see
Okay.
it. So something else might come up out of it. Those are kind of just the school council and those are just ideas we have of what Scituate High School may be looking for, but definitely open mind to what we need to do to.
Yeah, I would
Broaden it a
encourage, because like you reading
Yeah.
about what businesses want, I'm seeing in things like the Harvard Business Review, the things that they're mentioning right now is not time management, it's compassion. I just got a magazine that's like their best 20 articles, and the cover of the Harvard Business Review is trust. So I think emotional intelligence and things, actually, they're starting to elevate those skills. So we just might want to give that more thought.
Point. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Just to build on that goal seems like a really good spot for student input. I'm sure you're doing that already, but it's just not called out specifically, but just what Carrie was asking before about opportunities for kids to show ownership and engage. That seems like a really right one for.
The kids come up with things that you won't even think of.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They do.
They're smart. They come up with things like, whoa,
Well, thank you so much. I do just one comment. I love the growing sense of belonging, as I feel like that's something that Principal Beatty and his team have worked on for so long, and they really ace it. So, you know, it's nice to see the high school picking up where that leaves off and having that connection there. And I think that the 8th grade showcase will just strengthen that. So, you know, it's almost, I'm a big fan of not reinventing the wheel there. So when you're given, this is what's coming your way, you might as well take them and grow instead of having to start.
And Principal
fresh. So
B's
that's
been a
great.
great mentor to me too, you know, he's, if I reach out to him at 9:00 at night, he gets right back to me with information, so he's been a really good, I don't even know if he's still here.
He's behind you.
Oh. I really mean it, even though you're behind me. But I mean, you know, it takes teamwork, and I'm new and I'm trying to learn as I go, and if I reach out and say, hey, what does this mean? He'll reach right back out to me and help me out, and so it's great. It's good to have, the principals in this district are really good, really strong.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank my administrative team and Lisa and Lisa Kirk and Bill Lewett for what they do every day. It's you're only as good as your assistant principals, and they run around this building and reaching out to kids and meeting with kids, and you know, their office is always busy, and it's really, you know, and department heads and the staff, and everyone's been great. Everyone's been really, really good.
Great, fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a vote on high school improvement plan. Am I missing this up too?
No, the date.
Oh, yeah, right, 2023 to 2027. Or whomever makes the motion. Small correction.
I make a motion that the school committee approve the 2023 to 2027 Scituate High School Improvement Plan as presented.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
This call?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just reaching for the mic. We're reaching for the mic.
Oh. We thought you guys missed call. We thought you were this. You did.
I did. No, I'll stay public. I see Mr. Beatty running for the exits before he's called at 9:00. You have my permission to block him, Mr. Beatty, after 8:00.
All right, Superintendent Burkhead, leadership report.
Thank you, everyone. Just have a few things that I wanted to bring up to let the community know about. One I didn't have on my list, but I wanted to, I know Ms. Fenwick had brought up, and I thought it was important because I'm seeing a thread of it through our presentations here, especially with the high school and our accountability goal for the district, that the opportunities for AP courses have increased dramatically over the last 4 years. Two new courses, possibly 3 for next year. I think we've had 3 or 4 in the last couple of years. But the more important thing is that we fill those courses with more kids because they provide opportunities. And even more important than that is that we set them up to pass those courses. So it's not just flooding the numbers. We want to show you all the numbers. The kids that are taking them are increasing, and we want to see that number of pass rates stay the same as well. So I think that's important to us because that can be gained a little bit. So we'll continue to share that and then hopefully compile that all with all our courses and their AP and rigorous coursework. And you've heard a lot of that from Principal Ranger as well tonight. So we're proud of that, and that'll continue to be a work in progress. David brought this up earlier, but I want to give a shout out to our community on the Super Bowl. The football team played, but there were our great cheerleaders on display. Our band, who was almost, I think, the number of kids from 2 years ago, even when I was out there, so Jim Thomas today has just exploded. So that was really nice to see. The crowd was great. Certainly the coaches and players deserve a lot of credit, but just a great community event. So I want to thank everybody to hang out with Mr. Gates and Slim Law and a little bit of their families on Friday night. And it was the most offensive that field has seen in this season. So the pros aren't doing it, but our high school kids did. Although we lost, there was a lot of good sportsmanship, and it was a good game. I also want to mention to the community, I know we've posted this up, but the Jenkins Playground, another theme here with community. A year ago last fall, I went out to all the schools and I talked with staff about their needs, the principals, and the Jenkins Playground was in rough shape. And I said, okay, I met with Mr. Dillon at the time and then Chris Cataldo, and I said, what's the plan to fix the playgrounds at Jenkins. And they told me it was real simple. That was the good thing. It was when something broke, we remove it. Bad news is there's no equipment left. So Principal Waldeck did a real nice job. She had done something similar in Harwich, where she, principal, built a beautiful, huge new playground for their community. But this was a CPC town event and a Jenkins PTO collaboration. They took it away from the school, took it off of capital, and they went out and raised the funds and contributed the funds to that. And that was voted on at town meeting. But the PTO also put a lot of work into making that happen. To see those kids out there on November 22nd, in less than a year, they have a brand new playground. So just incredible so I just wanted to share that story and thank everybody that was involved in that, because it's amazing what can happen in 1 year with a will. That kind of segues into the new school project that I want to talk a little bit about tonight, because I think that's something very similar. A little longer time span, like 7 years and not 7 months. However, much more at stake here. Opportunity for Scituate to really create something special together for our kids, for our future, for 60 years plus in advance, building a new building project. So a couple of upcoming events that I think are important for the community to get educated on and actively involved in. Tomorrow, Team Brandolini will be out on the world tour with myself, Dr. Rav and Ms. Driscoll, our OPM and architect, heading to the men's breakfast at Senior Center tomorrow. So we'll be speaking with those folks about the project, answering questions, getting feedback. And then this Wednesday night at right here at 6:30, there'll be the next public meeting, which we will be having, similar to tonight, a Zoom opportunity. So we want to make sure that folks that couldn't make it in person could also participate via Zoom, to encourage more folks to participate. The link has been sent out, but it's also on our website, cit.org, under the community link, which we moved to the homepage for easy access under the meeting agendas. So a couple of agenda items for that public meeting, the introduction to the project, and the need, the why are we asking for a new school, the review of the site planning progress, review of the building design progress, sustainability and what that means, and we want input on that from our community certainly, and the upcoming schedule and what next steps are. So a lot of good information, a lot of great opportunities for feedback at those meetings as well. If you can't make it, they'll be videoed and placed up on the website for opportunities to catch up on that as well. If you have any questions, folks, please reach out to me directly. You email or call central office. Be happy to speak with anyone one-on-one about the building project, answer any questions, clear up any information they need to talk about. And then lastly, just a shout out to Ms. Ward, who's been writing grants like crazy for us, and work closely with Dr. Bogart on attaining a DISI grant for supporting our teachers to support our students with special needs. We're rolling out a new IEP format for next year, DISI is, and they took the initiative to get this grant so that we, in turn, can get our teachers training and paid summer work to prepare for that. So we hit the ground ahead of others. So that was huge, a huge find. So I wanted to celebrate that tonight and say thank you. I think that's going to benefit our kids ultimately, and our teachers being prepared to roll that out. So, thank you.
Anyone, questions or comments?
I have one question. I just had a question about the community forum on Wednesday. My guess is that it was moved to the high school from Hatherley so that we could have the Zoom, which in some ways reinforces why we did this.
Ironic.
Very ironic. But I wanted to just confirm that that was the case, because I do think at some point getting more people into Hatherley School, and I know that we had thought about doing some tours and things like that. So I hope that we can do that at some point, although I understand also the need to want to have it more accessible and have it be on Zoom and recorded. There's a lot of tension there, but I just wanted to ask if that was actually the case, and just to point that out.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because that's exactly the why. The goal was to have the meeting in Hadley to allow people to kind of see for themselves and do a little tour. But then we wanted to Zoom to get more people there, and we can't Zoom from there. So we have to be here. The good news is we'll have tours there, and we'll have subsequent meetings there as well. So that is hugely important. I think we might even offer the opportunity for tours separate from public meetings, just have some days available for folks to come and tour the place. So as the next few weeks and months roll on, that'll definitely be an opportunity. We want to get as many people in there as possible that come in, you know, just see for yourself. It's better than any picture can do. But thank you for bringing that up.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Superintendent Burkhead. Okay, approval of minutes. All right, as I look into Lawrence,
I'm good tonight.
don't believe there are any. Tom just loves to be in person. All right.
Highlight of this day.
Correspondences or other business, future agenda items, anyone?
Given our approval of the trips, the expensive and worthwhile trips, and then Maria bringing up the sort of cost again, I'm wondering, I don't know if this is an agenda item or sort of something for Tom to think about when we present the budget. So I've been in institutions where students that struggle, we as a school were able to set aside a small pot of funds. This was particularly true during the pandemic to support. So I'm wondering, is it worth having a conversation as a school committee about, could we in the school budget set aside funds that we make available to guidance counselors, teachers, to let them know that if we have a student who's in need? I mean, I know there need to be a process obviously set up, but I just wonder, like, you know, and with Ms. Ward doing all this grant, like, are there grants out there that we could find, travel grants that we could bring into the school? Are these opportunities for families who want to do direct donations? I just think maybe earmarking a space in our budget for that kind of fund might be something worth discussing, just to open access to more students.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We can certainly look into that and get back to you. Good idea.
All right, excellent. Anything else anyone would like to mention before we make a motion to adjourn here? Nothing. We're waiting for a motion.
Oh, you're waiting for me?
We'll
Motion-
always do it. You're the
Oh,
one,
sorry.
you're the one.
Oh,
The
sorry.
closer.
Motion to adjourn at 7:24.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.